To finish this session, let's do a final example with a bit more complexity. And in particular, let's see that the super notation to call the methods in a superclass is not that convenient when I'm dealing with multiple inheritance, because when I do single inheritance, the superclass is always very clear, but when I do multiple inheritance, that's not that clear, and that might lead to problems, as we will see in a second. First of all, let's create a new class that will help us with this example, the troll class. No internet troll, one of the good old ones that live under a bridge and are super huge characters that have regeneration powers. Okay, so to codify this, we will inherit using single inheritance in this case. We will go back to the multiple one in a second from the RPG character class. And then we will have this init method with one extra parameter called rec for the regeneration capabilities of the troll. And the troll will have a overridden swing method where we will call again the super class, just like we did here. For the init method, we first called the constructor of the super class, the RPG character class, and then we called we added one more attribute, regeneration, and we use this regeneration attribute in the swing method that we overrode by first calling the one in the superclass, and then superclass in this case we are expecting that to be the RPG character, and then using healing. So basically trolls swing like everyone else, but every time they swing they try to hit you, they also heal themselves because they have this regeneration power. And we can just play a little bit with this, and we see that, well, the troll class can regenerate points while it fights. Okay, but in general, if we play these combats, sometimes our rando character wins, sometimes our rando character loses. Okay, rando is no more. In this case, rando lost again. Well, you get the idea. In this case, yeah, rando lost again, but sometimes he wins. Promise. So we have defined a troll class quite simply, pretty similar to the knight class or other classes that we had defined in the previous session about single inheritance. So we have the RPG character, and now we have the troll, and let's define, just as we did before, a class that's a troll paladin. What would a troll paladin look like? Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe it would be like a big, huge tree-like thing in shining armor, or maybe it would be a regular troll that travels the world defending their own ideals. I don't know. I'm sure it has been done before in some fantasy role-playing game or other. But for us, it will be a convenient way to see some problems with multiple inheritance, especially if I'm using the super reserved word to refer to my superclass. In particular, if I just define it, the troll paladin class this way, without further definition, without further detail, without changing anything, just like I did the vampirical knight class where everything worked fine. Okay, if I define the troll paladin like this, we'll see that we have some problems. In particular, if I try to call the creator, I get an error. Why? What happened? Under the bridge, the BIOS cannot be defined because my troll paladin object, when I try to create it, I get an error that says init missing one required positional argument AR. What is going on here? Let's see, let's check. Let's look for our init method in our class hierarchy, just like we did before. So first of all, I need to check for my init method in the troll paladin class. Let's see. Is it there? No, it's not there. Okay, then I have to go search for my troll paladin, for my init method in the next class in this depth first search in my class hierarchy. And in this case, the order would be first the troll paladin, then the troll, then the paladin, and then any parent class of these two, which is first the knight, which is the parent of the paladin class, and then the RPG character, who happens to be the parent of both the troll and the knight. Okay, so the order here would be troll, paladin, knight, and character. I already saw that it's not in the troll paladin class, so let's check the next one in the depth first search traversal of my class hierarchy tree. And the next one is the troll. Does the troll have a init method? Yes, it does. Okay, so I'm safe. I found my init method. Everything is going to be fine, isn't it? Well, not really, because once I get into here, I called the super class method, the init method in the super class. When I wrote this, I was expecting that this was going to mean the init method in the RPG character class, because that was the only superclass that I could see. And if I went to the init method in the RPG character class with the parameters that I have given it, the 4 parameters here, everything would be fine. Okay, because I would have 4 parameters, get into the troll class where I need 4 parameters, use the 3 of them to call the class in the init method, the init method in the RPG character superclass, which works, and then get the last one for this self-regeneration attribute. Get the last one for the self.regeneration object attribute. But I'm not calling the method in init, the init method in the RPG character class, because I'm using the super word. And instead of that, I'm going to the next class in my traversal of the class hierarchy. Super means next class in the traversal of the class hierarchy. And if I only have single inheritance, that's always this one. But if I have multiple inheritance, that doesn't need to be the case. And as I said before, the first class was troll paladin, the second one was troll, and the next one is paladin. So I'm now going to the paladin class and not to the RPG character class that I want it to be, because I'm calling super. When I go to the paladin class, I'm already lost, but let's see what happens, and let's see if we can find why there is an error. The paladin class does not have an init method, so we keep going up the class hierarchy, continuing with this traversal, and after the paladin method, I said I would go to the knight method. And when I go to the knight method, what happens? Basically, I do have an init method, but it requires one more parameter than what I have. I don't have this armor parameter, the last one. And because of that, I get an error that tells me it's always very good idea to read the errors. I have not done that on purpose in this case. Missing one required positional argument, AR, that one about the armor. So Python is telling me, hey, you told me you wanted to do this, and I ended up in one place where I didn't have all the parameters that I needed. And we have seen precisely why. So how can we fix this? How can we get rid of this problem? The problem basically was the use of the super reserved word. If I'm using repeated inheritance and single inheritance, that's not a problem because who the supper is always very clear. But when I use multiple inheritance, this can lead to problems like just the one that I have just seen. How do I get rid of this? Well, do not use the supper method if you have multiple inheritance. It's not a good idea. Instead of doing that, what we can do is substitute the supper reserved word for the name of the class that I actually want to call. And in this case, what I mean is that I want to, in the troll class, what I want to do is call the RPG character class. So now I'm not going to say supper, thinking that it will be this class. I'm going to explicitly say, I want to do this class. Not supper, but the name of the class that I want to call. And I have changed that for the character, for the init method, and also for the string method, where I was also using the supper reserved word. And now, if I try to call the troll class, everything still works. Okay, like it did before. I can now redefine the troll paladin class just like I did, and now I can try again to define the troll an object, to create an object of the troll paladin class, and now I don't have a problem because I'm doing the same thing that I did before, calling the init method, coming from here where I don't have it defined to here where I do, and then instead of calling supper and getting lost in this branch of the tree, I'm going to the RPG character class and doing it right this time. Okay, so now I can define objects of the troll paladin class without problems, because now instead of using the supper reserved word, I'm using the name of the class, and that tells Python precisely where I want it to go. So that use of the supper class was wrong in the context of multiple inheritance, but this simple definition of a troll paladin class is not enough. Troll paladin should have all the characteristics of trolls and paladins, and that includes, because paladin is a subclass of knight, all the characteristics of knights. And if you remember, knights have armor, but oh, my object does not have armor. Troll paladin object has no attribute armor. This is wrong. This is not how it should work. What is going on? Well, basically I have made it so the init method doesn't throw an error, but it's not really calling all the init methods that I would like it to call, because I would also like to get my armor attribute initialized. Okay, so what I'm going to do to model this behavior properly is that I'm going to actually code something more in the troll paladin class. I'm going to override the init method, receive 5 parameters, so the regeneration and the armor, in addition to all the ones that I always get, and then I'm going to call explicitly through init methods. The one from the class troll, so I take care of the regeneration part, and the one from the class knight, and I'm going to ignore the paladin class because I know it doesn't have an init method, and I'm calling this, so I'm just jumping to the knight part. Could call the paladin class if I wanted to, but I do not want to. I'm going to call the creator methods of whichever class I see fit. Okay, and if I do it like this, now I can initialize a troll paladin object, and it does have armor. Okay, so now I have changed the behavior of my class with multiple inheritance, taking into account that I should not use the supper word in this context, and giving it the precise behavior that I want by calling whichever method of each class I want to call. I'm going to just simply override the string method, but here I had the super again, which would call the method in the knight class if I was not careful. So I'm going to call first the string method in the RPG character class, and then add something of my own, and when I do that, I get the following behavior. Behold the mighty Arg with so on and so forth, strength, dexterity, hit points, and then this part that I have just added, without, in this case, wanting to call any of the string methods in the classes in between. With multiple inheritance and the use of the class names to direct the method that I want to call, I can precisely tune the behavior that I want for my classes. Now we can just see that these characters that I have all the characteristics that I wanted them to have. For example, my troll character regenerates and is also a paladin. Okay. If my here I can see that anytime my troll character hurts the other character, it deals magic damage to. Wait, no, it does not. Rando deals magic damage, but the troll paladin is dealing normal damage. Okay, why is this happening? Let's see. Whenever I swing, I will call the method in the troll class. Where is the troll class? My latest definition is here. Okay. Okay, so swing is jumping to the RPG character class. Okay. If I wanted it to swing like a paladin character, I would probably need to change this to change the swing method that I'm calling here. Okay. For example, I could just redo the swing method here and call the swing method of the class paladin. Okay. Or I could, because the trolls also swing differently. Okay, let's try that. Let's see if I can copy this part here, and I'm going to re-implement it there. Sorry, where is it? Yes, a troll paladin class. Okay, so let me say that every time a troll paladin swings, it deals magic damage and also heals itself. So instead of RPG character here, I want it to swing like a paladin. Okay, and then I can here print that the troll paladin, if I want to see that I'm in the proper one, regenerates. Let's see. Everything is still working fine. Let's add this swing method also into this definition here. Check that everything is still working, and now I can see the combat again. Okay, and now I see that my rando character is also hurt with magic damage. Okay, so this way I have changed it, so now my troll paladin class behaves exactly as I want it to behave. Okay, so in this class we have seen how to use multiple inheritance to make our classes much more richer and reuse the code in a very simple and convenient way. But when I use multiple inheritance, I have to be a little careful. Most especially, I have to know what behaviors of possible superclasses I want to use. And in order to do that, using the super reserved word, which was super helpful for single inheritance, is not very useful. So we have seen that we can just mention the method that we want to use and the class that we want to take it from. And that's it for multiple inheritance and for the theoretical part of this object-oriented programming course. We will see a few more examples, but in terms of mechanisms of the ones that we want to see in this course, that's it.